Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Has it ever happened to you that you have been preparing a lot for an exam, maybe solving 1,000 mock questions and answers, but right on the day of the exam, in front of your paper or computer screen, your mind has gone totally blank? Or maybe during an interview for which you were preparing a lot for the last couple of months, but the moment you entered the interview room and the interviewer asks you a very simple question, you have lost track of your thoughts and flunked the whole interview eventually. Guys, such kind of situations or scenarios are very common for PMP or CAPM exam takers, and I myself know a lot of exam aspirants who had really good, really awesome preparation, but right on the day of the exam, they got unnecessarily stressed out and flunked the entire exam. In today's video, guys, I am going to teach you a very simple but very effective trick by which you can train your mind to not get into that dumb state during your PMP or CAPM exams and retain your calm and poise during the entire exam. By doing so, you will not only be able to do well in your PMP or CAPM exams, but also you will get the courage to face highly stressful situations in your life with calm and objectivity, just like a monk. Because you know, guys, as aspirants of PMP or CAPM exams, it is less important that how well you have prepared for the last 2 to 3 months, but it is more important how well you are able to apply whatever you have learned over the last 2 to 3 months in those 2 to 3 hours of the exam. So let's get started. Right. Do you know the reason, guys, why our mind goes totally blank when we enter in stressful situations like an exam or an interview? This can be explained by the design of the central nervous system in our body. Essentially, the human nervous system consists of two parts, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. While the sympathetic nervous system, or SNS, drives our most primitive survival instincts such as fight, fear and combat, the parasympathetic nervous system, or the PNS, drives the intellectual instincts such as calm, creativity and logical reasoning. In other words, our human brain has two operating modes. In situations of stress, emergency, fear or danger, it behaves like a primitive ape whose instincts tell it to either fight a situation or flight from there. This is our SNS, or the sympathetic nervous system, kicking into action. The SNS does not know reasoning or logic or mathematics. It just knows how to survive, like an ancient caveman. Let's call this instinct the chimp instinct. However, when you are in a state of calmness or when you are relaxed, the PNS, or the parasympathetic nervous system, takes over and it makes you think critically and logically. The PNS is also referred to as the rest and digest system, and it functions to conserve the body's natural activity and relaxes the individual once the emergency has passed. You are more creative now and you are now able to make rational decisions. Let's call this instinct the Newton instinct. By engaging the PNS, you are like the scientist Newton. Now, in light of the chimp instinct and the Newton instinct that we have just learned, let's apply this principle for an examination hall. Okay? For case in point, let's take the example that you are writing your PMP exam. Now, since this is an unknown situation for you, let's say for example, you are writing an online examination for the first time in your life, and on top of this, let's say you don't know the exam center, don't know the invigilators, you also are not fully aware how the exam interface functions. So there are many uncertainties, right? So your mind immediately goes into the state of stress. And as soon as you enter the state of stress, subconsciously your SNS, or the sympathetic nervous system, kicks in, which means your chimp instinct kicks in. And when that happens, guys, you start losing your reasoning ability and all your logical thinking ability. You stress out even more, your muscles start contracting, and subconsciously your SNS, or the sympathetic nervous system, is preparing your body for a flight or fight situation. Now this is where the challenge lies, okay? So this is the reason why many of us flunk an exam in spite of having a solid preparation. Now the question is, can you train your brain to operate with the Newton instinct rather than the chimp instinct in the examination hall? The answer is fortunately yes. But before I tell you how to do that, let me tell you a small story. Ruby is a nice young girl, but she is very afraid of dogs. Whenever she sees a dog, she is terrified and wants to get out of the situation as soon as possible. She is not able to relax or behave rationally when there is a dog around her. So what's happening here is, when Ruby sees a dog or a dog around her, the SNS of Ruby kicks in, her chimp instinct gets engaged, and she gets into a situation of fight or flight. Now to overcome Ruby's fear of dogs, Ruby's mother gifted her a puppy on her 5th birthday. Initially, Ruby's mother helped her to be with the pup for 15 minutes under supervision, gradually moving up to 30 minutes and then for over an hour. After a few days, Ruby starts spending time with the puppy independently. After a few more weeks, Ruby can't even spend a minute at home without her puppy. The dog, which initially terrified her, now gave her peace and calmness. She is able to relax when the pup is around her. Even a few weeks later, Ruby can't even step out of the home without carrying her pup with her. So what's happening here is, guys, is very interesting. You see, initially, upon seeing a dog, Ruby's sympathetic nervous system always kicked in due to the fear of unknown. However, gradually with some help, when she consciously started to spend more time with the pup, her mind came out of the state of immediate emergency when she saw a dog. At this point, her PNS took over her SNS. In other words, her Newton instinct took over her chimp instinct. And that's where the magic happened. Now the same Ruby, who earlier couldn't even stand a second with the dog around her, now cannot even relax a second without her own puppy. Now, isn't this transformation amazing, guys? And you know what the best part is? You can use this same principle to eliminate your fear for PMP exam, CAPM exam, or let's say any exam in your life. Now let's discuss how to get that done. But before we start, if you are liking the video, guys, make sure you hit that like button and help this video reach out to as many exam aspirants as possible, okay? You might spend a ton of money on exam resources, but you know what? Likes are free. Right, so with all that discussion we had about Ruby and her pup, you now understand that during an exam, you will get stressed only if you let your chimp instinct take over your Newton instinct. So you should consciously train your mind to not engage your sympathetic nervous system during an exam. Rather, you should send signals to your brain to always engage your parasympathetic nervous system in an exam environment. And you will only be able to do that when your subconscious knows that the situation you are in is not stressful. Everything around your surroundings are familiar. You do these kind of stuff all the time, and you have solved PMP and CAPM exam questions in such scenarios multiple times. Because basically through these thoughts, you are telling your chimp instinct that, hey, stop, this is not a situation to get stressed. I do this all the time, right? And as you have rightly guessed, the moment you start doing that consciously, your Newton instinct will start taking over your chimp instinct. And you will be a calm, relaxed, logical, intuitive, and analytical person, just what you need to ace an exam. And these are the 3 ways I suggest that you prepare during your PMP and CAPM exam to train your mind to behave like this during the exam. Number 1, write at least 3 to 4 mocks during your exam preparation in timed conditions. Simulate the whole process of the PMP or CAPM exam in terms of the overall duration, breaks, etc. If possible, write these mocks during the time of the day when you have actually booked your exam slot. For example, if your actual exam starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and continues till 2 p.m., write your mocks within this time of the day as well. This way, your brain will start familiarizing with the situation and start negating your chimp instinct and let your Newton instinct dominate the situation. Secondly, if you're writing the final exam in an exam center, don't write your mock exams at home. Try to book some remote working locations or co-working spaces over WeWork, Regus, SmartWork, Hubble HQ, etc. Check on Google what's available around your location and try to write the mock exams from an unfamiliar location. You can also try any remote work locations which you can manage within your friends and families as well. Basically, get out of that familiar surroundings of your home. On the other hand, if you're writing the final exam from home, practice your mock exam in that exact room using the exact work desk, laptop, webcams, etc. that you would be using during the actual exam. Because essentially what you are achieving by doing this is to train your brain to perform analytically and logically even in unfamiliar situations, surroundings, or in a stressed environment. And finally guys, the last and the most important tip. If you are writing the exam from a test center, visit that location a week before your exam and familiarize yourself with the area. Maybe spend a couple of hours within that same building or at least near the same building where you would be taking your actual test. Also use the same mode of transport to travel to the location which you will use during the day of the exam. So this way you are sending signals to your brain as well that the travel and the location of your exam center is not something unfamiliar to you and you have been there and done that, okay? You can apply the same principle if you are taking the exam from home by spending as much time as possible in your work from home setup which you will be using on the exam day. By following these 3 simple methods guys, you will be able to engage your parasympathetic nervous system rather than your sympathetic nervous system during the exam day, thereby triggering your Newton instinct rather than your chimp instinct when you are writing your PMP or CAPM exam. Just how Ruby overcame her fear of dogs and the same animal which initially used to give her goosebumps now gave her peace and comfort. Hope you liked today's video guys. Let me know in the comment section below whether I should keep on making such tips and tricks video for your PMP and CAPM exam. Don't forget to like the video and I'll see you again soon in another awesome video like this. Thank you and have a nice day.